What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we have the big data download that we have been waiting for, and we have Ace versus AKAINU making his debut on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global. And a lot of people are going to be asking, when's Ace versus AKAINU coming to Global? And it's finally going to be happening. And here is the exact date that you need to mark down in your calendars: June 24th, 1900 PST time. So in terms of the timeline of events as to what's going on in Global, currently we have the face-off event with the Warlords. That's going to be going until the 23rd of June. So we have like a one-day break, and then after that one-day break, this banner will be dropping, and I will definitely be live streaming, doing my Sugo first pulls for you guys, so I'm really very much looking forward to this one. Now, we don't have all the information about this banner. All we have is the characters that are going to be available and the steps, and I'll be making a separate video talking about the steps, breaking that down. In this video, I want to talk about the new characters because I know everyone is excited about this one. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, the recommended characters, we'll leave the legend until a little bit later. Let's start things off with the rare recruits, first of which is going to be a brand new Sengoku character, Quick Powerhouse Cerebral, with a captain effect of Powerhouse and Cerebral boosting, nothing special there. 12 turn max cooldown reduces bind by 5, all enemies resilience and rainbow shield is reduced by 5, and adds 80 times his attack in tap timing bonus damage for 2 turns. Not an amazing special. I mean, like, it's fine. Like, the utility's okay. I actually don't mind the utility at all, but just the added effect of tap timing bonus damage. I think tap timing bonus damage is like just a really weak mechanic these days, unless if it's something absurd like Legend Hawkins or V2 Katakuri, something like that, or like Halloween Mihawk super type. But, you know, tap timing like this is not that useful anymore, unfortunately. But, you know, the utility is usable. As for his crewmate effects, he makes Powerhouse characters quick slots matching, and all slots are quick at the start of the quest. That's actually pretty good. And his support effect, all of these characters in this batch have a very cool support effect. So for Sengoku specifically, he attaches to Garp, Aokiji, Kizaru, or AKAINU, and he says that if the supported character does a damage dealing special or a health cut special, reduces resilience and rainbow shield by 2. Very useful effect, definitely going to see play. I mean, just looking at this right here, I'm pretty sure Ace versus AKAINU does a damage dealing special, so it attaches to him, obviously. But also, like, Legend Garp, for example, a couple of the Aokijis do damage, Legend Kizaru does damage. Like, this can be put on a lot of characters, and I love that. A good support that can be put on a lot of good characters, so I love that. Sengoku, honestly, is a pretty decent unit. I'm not going to go out and say he's one of the best, like, rare recruits that we've ever seen, but it's just a really, really solid rare recruit in general. If I had to rate him out of 10, I'd probably rate him like maybe 7 or an 8 out of 10. He's pretty good. Moving on though, we've got Aokiji, who is going to be a quick shooter free spirit character with a captain effect of... You're not really going to be worrying about his captain effect, but he's special on an 11 turn cooldown. Reduces, well, not reduces, but it's going to be doing some reducing in a minute, but does 300,000 damage to one enemy that ignores all defensive effects, which that Sengoku we just talked about can attach to this Kuzan, which is great. And it reduces defense up, so blue shield, and threshold by 5 turns. And if the captain is a shooter or a free spirit character, it doubles shooter and free spirit characters' attack for 2 turns. This is a really good special ability because it's giving you an attack boost and utility all in one. Plus, as we mentioned, with that Sengoku support attaching to this is amazing. Even Legend Garp, for example, which can remove special bind, can also attach to this character. This unit, honestly, will probably see a lot of play. This is a fantastic rare recruit. What's his crewmate abilities? Stat boost to shooter and free spirit, and make shooter and free spirit characters strength slots matching. That is really, really good, actually. And his support effect attaches to Kizaru and AKAINU, so a little bit more restricted. But if they do a damage dealing or a health cut special, it reduces blue shield defense up and threshold by 2 turns. Again, such an amazing support effect. Honestly, this rare recruit, in terms of what I would rate it out of 10, this is probably like a 9 out of 10, in my opinion. I think this unit is phenomenal. Amazing defensive removal capabilities, damage dealing special, plus he also gives you an attack boost as well. Like, what more could you ask for from your regular rare recruit batch? Really, really good unit. I'm liking this so far. Next, we have a Luffy character though. So Luffy's going to be a strength free spirit fighter. Captain effect obviously doesn't matter too much. Special ability 11 turn cooldown, changes top row and bottom row slots into matching, locks your slots for 1 turn, and if your crew has paralysis and special bind, it removes it by 5 turns, and also will boost your chain multiplier by 0.8 for 2 turns. That's another pretty decent special. The orb manipulation is a bit of a weird one though, only for top and bottom row. A little bit strange. It doesn't get rid of block orbs either, but it is an orb locking special ability, which is good. Orb locking is a very underrated mechanic. Paralysis and special bind removal is always going to be nice to have. Those are 2 very common debuffs that you'll be taking note of, and it removes it by 5 turns. So again, that's very good. I would hope that he has the right sailor effect to get rid of that. And also 0.8 chain boost is really strong as well, and partners up very well with the versus ace character, which we'll talk about in just a moment. He will go ahead and reduce special bind by 5. Thank you very much, Bandai. And if he has a strength slot and you hit a perfect, you carry it over for multiple turns. That's good as well, because if you set him on the top or bottom row, most likely going to be on the bottom row, you can keep his strength slot for multiple different stages. Now he does have a support effect which attaches only to ace, but it says that if the character that he's supporting is inflicted with special bind, it removes it by 2 turns only on the supported character and gives you a 0.3 chain boost for 1 turn. So this is like just okay. This is definitely the weakest support effect that we've talked about thus far. The fact that the special bind removal only affects the character he supports is a little bit of a downer. Personally, I would have preferred it if it was only 1 turn, but it affected the whole crew. I feel like that would have been way more valuable to have. And the 0.3 chain boost is like, yeah, it's fine. You know, it's just an extra bit of damage. You know, sometimes that can be useful to have. So it's fine. I don't think he's that useful. In terms of what I would rate it out of 10, it's probably like, as a support, it's not very good, but as an actual unit, remember, he does remove the paralysis and special bind, gives you chain boost, orb blocking, orb change, has the potential to be pretty good. I'd probably also rate this maybe a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. I probably wouldn't go as far as to say a 9 out of 10, but it's a pretty decent new rare recruit. And the final new rare recruit is going to be a new Jozu character. Shout out to my man Jozu, who is going to be a strength powerhouse fighter with a captain effect of not being very useful, and a 13 turn max cooldown with a multi-stage special, but stage 2 reduces powerhouse and fighter characters charge time by 2 turns, reduces the crew's despair and attack down by 5 turns, and gives you 90% damage reduction for 1 turn. Unfortunately, his stage 1 only removes those 2 debuffs by 2 turns. It would have been really good if his stage 1 was by 3, because that could definitely still see play, and then, you know, an additional 2 turns after, you know, it's the stage 2 special, but still a pretty good special across the board. His crewmate effect will go ahead and boost fighter and powerhouse, and he also reduces special reverse on himself by 3, so you can use him to get around the special reverse mechanics for your fighter and powerhouse teams. I like it, man. This unit's pretty decent. Now his support effect attaches to wipe it and ace, so you got a little bit of variety here. But it says anytime you're inflicted with attack down, he reduces it by 2 turns at the start of the next turn, so that's great. Another attack down reducing support, which aren't very common, mind you, so this is a very useful support effect to have. Loving this one for sure. So that's the new Jozu. I think this guy is probably, again, like around a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Like, he's not like a god tier rare recruit, but he's pretty good. And out of the rare recruits, man, the Aokiji is the one that really impressed me, and the supports of both Sengoku and Aokiji are definitely going to see play. Honestly, really impressed with this rare recruit batch. Really good units. Now, you can see that on this particular part of the banner, Kaido versus Big Mom will be here. We don't have the full array of what characters are going to be boosted on what part of the banner, but we'll talk more about that once I make my other video that you guys will see in just a bit. But here we have Ace versus Akainu, okay? So let's talk about each of these units, right? The first character we have is versus Ace. Now remember, with a versus unit, you don't get to switch between the 2 characters in the middle of an adventure. When you build your team, you select one or the other to be your dedicated unit on your crew. So speaking first about Ace, Ace is a strength shooter free spirit with a captain effect that boosts shooter and free spirit by 5 times with a 1.3 health boost, and makes strength dex and quick beneficial to those characters, and reduces special reverse by 10 turns. So that's fantastic. I mean, we already saw Jozu in the batch, who was that strength fighter powerhouse unit that had the ability to resist the special reverse mechanics, but obviously he doesn't work with Ace, he works with Akainu. So now you have Ace with his captain effect that can just outright resist the special reverse. And I say outright because most of the time when you're inflicted with special reverse, it's going to be less than 10 turns, so that is fantastic to have. Great captain effect, you know, flat 5x, more beneficial slots, you've got a health boost. What really more could you ask for, right? I mean, you could probably add like health recovery or damage reduction, but like, hey, look, this is a fantastic captain effect already, right? Now, speaking of his special ability, let's have a look at that. 13 turn cooldown, and it will deal 200 times his attack in non-type damage to all enemies, and will boost free spirit and shooter characters' orbs by 2.5 times for 2 turns, and if his own slot is strength when the special is launched, he will set the chain multiplier limit value from 2.5 to 35.0. So this is the exact same mechanic as Wano Law. You know how Wano Law has the chain thing where the first attack on your chain is going to be set to 2.5 and it kind of scales up from there. This is the exact same thing. However, there is the caveat of your character has to have a strength slot when you launch the special in order for you to get the chain effect. So that's the only real drawback from this character, but everything else is just huge, right? I mean, really good damage AoE, and a 2.5 orb boost to the 2 types of units that he boosts is really good. And I mean, shooter and free spirit, he's got great synergy with a lot of other really powerful characters in the game, i.e. Goldie Roger, who has that super type that can grant a full board of slots, and then you could go ahead and use the special of Ace to get the orb boost, and he'll have the chain multiplier boost, and you can use Roger's special to extend that orb boost to 3 turns. Like, there's lots to love here about this Ace character. And I mean, shooters needed really good support, and this batch has some pretty nice shooter stuff, right? I mean, we just saw Aokiji just before, and now this character as well. So really nice stuff for the shooter class in general. Now remember, Ace does have a versus effect, and the versus effect for Ace versus Akainu is absolutely insane. So let's get to this, right? The versus effect of Ace alone will have the condition that you can launch this ability once you have consumed 12 strength, dex, or quick slots with normal attacks. So that's a little bit difficult to do, a little bit easy with Akainu, which we'll get to in a little bit. But once you do activate it, it applies an ignited status to all enemies for 2 turns. Now, what this essentially is it's like inflicting burn to the enemy side of the field. It's pretty dope, right? Now, what it does is it does 100 times the enemy's attack value in typeless damage to the enemy at the end of a turn. So if the enemy's attack value, so the amount of damage that they deal to you, if they deal like 10,000 damage to you, multiply it by 100, and that's the amount of damage that they're going to take at the end of the turn. It's a really cool mechanic, because it is classified as a debuff. You're like debuffing, such as like if you're reducing the enemy's defense or you're delaying an enemy. This is classified as a debuff because after you apply the ignited effect, it says it doubles damage dealt to enemies afflicted with the ignited debuff for 2 turns, and it changes the crew's empty, block, bomb, tandem, recovery, and G slots and his own slot into a strength slot. So there you go, you launch his versus effect, you get a conditional boost by igniting the enemy. It's a 2 times conditional boost. You give himself the strength slot, and then you can go ahead and launch his special ability, which gives you the orb boost and the chain boundary effect. This unit does so much damage all by himself. Like, as we said, conditional boost, orb boost, chain boundary effect, 5 times captain, all in one unit for the shooter and free spirit class. Like, absolutely bonkers character. Such a good unit. And remember, this character can launch that versus effect as a crewmate as well. So, you know, you could run double Roger with Ace as your sub. You can definitely do something like that, man. This unit's pretty awesome, and remember, Ace does proc the super type of Roger too. Keep that in mind. And let's just quickly have a look at the potential ability. So he has the Enrage, which is 200 additional damage, which is nothing crazy. He has Barrier Penetration, which you love to see. And his last one is going to be Slot Bind, which he completely removes. Not too many characters these days completely remove Slot Bind, so that's great. Now, that is just the Ace side of things. I mean, we can quickly have a look. Crewmate's strength slots are matching as well, and then also base attack is boosted by 125. That's really good. Now, quickly, while we're here, I want to talk about Ace's Pirate Rumble stuff, because both of these units are pretty good in Pirate Rumble. So let's have a look at the passive first of Ace. Strength teammates get level 5 attack, level 3 defense, and for the first 40 seconds, he gives himself an additional level 5 attack. So by himself, level 10 attack, level 3 defense is already really solid, right? 25 CT for his special, targets himself a level 7 attack for 10 seconds, but still, himself buffing his attack before he does his damage is really good, but then he goes ahead and targets enemies in a large range for 2 times his attack, and if the HP of himself is below 60%, he targets all enemies for a 2 times attack damage. So you can already see the amount of damage that this guy's going to do is pretty insane. I would really love to pull this unit and try him out, like with some of the other really powerful strength units that I've pulled recently, such as the Law Pirate Rumble unit. You can use Sweet Commanders. Odin could potentially have some synergy here, even though, you know, Odin is more slasher based, but still could build a relatively powerful strength team with some of the units we have access to. So this unit in Pirate Rumble, while I don't think he's going to be a god tier unit, he's still very, very powerful. So very much looking forward to utilizing this ace character. But now we're going to talk about the big bad boy himself, Sakazuki Akainu, which in a lot of people's opinions is, you know, the best unit in the game, or one of the best units in the game. Let's talk about him. So Akainu is a quick driven powerhouse, the exact same class and type combination as V2 Kaido, which dropped not that long ago on Global. Captain effect will boost driven and powerhouse characters' attack by 5 times with a 1.5 times HP boost, and increases the chances of you landing on a quick slot. And when you take any damage, he inflicts the enemies with the ignited status that goes through all immunities. It goes through everything, which is crazy, right? And the ignited effect from his captain effect that gets inflicted to the enemy lasts for 4 turns. And as we said, it goes through all immunity as well. So this character just has so much going for it, right? As we said, 5x captain, 1.5 health, so he's way more tankier than Ace. He increases the chances of quick slots appearing, which means that it's a lot easier to get his versus effect because you're getting so many quick slots. Getting those 12 slots for his versus effect is not going to be that difficult at all. And the fact that anytime he takes damage, even from like a preemptive or something, the enemy automatically gets inflicted with the ignited status. Just already really strong captain ability. A 13 turn cooldown special does 400 times his attack in non-type damage only to a single enemy, but it's 400 times his attack, and changes all slots including block into quick, already very good, and then boosts driven and powerhouse character slot effects by 2.5 for 2 turns, so very much the same as Ace. Instead of being for shooter free spirit, he's for driven powerhouse. And then also, based on the number of quick slots that you've consumed before you launch the special, you get a chain lock, and the chain lock will vary. So it's starting from a 3x, and you can go all the way to a 3.5 times chain lock, and it lasts for 2 turns. This is nuts. Like a full board or manipulation or boost plus chain lock all for multiple turns, dude. Like, this is just nuts. This is the nuts. This is what you want to be using, dude. Such a great special ability, such a great captain ability. You love to see it. But let's have a look at his versus effect. His versus effect says the same condition, you need to consume 12 strength decks or quick slots. And what it does, it will ignite the enemy with, you know, the ignition status for 4 turns, and will also give you a 1.75 times attack against ignited enemies for 4 turns. So it's a little bit of a weaker conditional. Ace's conditional was a 2 times, but it was for like 1 or 2 turns, whereas this guy is a 1.75, but for 4 turns. So you can technically carry it over multiple different stages, especially if the enemy attacks you, you can just inflict them with the ignition again, which is really cool. And then there's this added effect that says driven and powerhouse characters quick slots have matching slot effects for 4 turns. So this is great, remember, because the enemy cannot remove your versus effect buffs, and because it lasts for so many turns, you can carry it over multiple stages, and if the enemy removes your effects, they can't get rid of this. And because of how often you're getting those quick slots with Akainu's captain effect, you have so many matching slots that are going to be for your driven and powerhouse characters. So the fact that he has a captain effect that is 5 times with so much health, lots of matching slots, 2.5 orb boost, 3.5 chain lock up to between 3 and 3.5 chain lock, versus effect that can activate, which can go through all immunities, remember, because if the enemy does damage to you, they inflict with the ignition that goes through everything, so you can get a guaranteed conditional boost so long as they do damage to you. Versus Akainu is nuts, and driven and powerhouse are great. You know, you got some great combination of units there. Even like the new versus Kaido, for example, that just came out, works perfectly with this guy. There's just so much to love, so much to love. Let's have a look at his crewmate effects. Crew's quick slots are beneficial, and also boosts crew's base attack by 125, which is fantastic. And then also, let's have a look at his rumble stuff, because this is going to be pretty big. You know, this is the big stuff right here. You know, we already been talking about how good the quick driven team is currently on Pirate Rumble, and this is only adding to how powerful those teams are going to be. Just have a look at his passive. Quick characters on your team get level 5 attack, level 3 defense. That's already very good. And for the first 20 seconds, he gives himself level 5 CT increase and level 5 additional attack. So by himself, he's already providing so much. Even just with this guy and then the new V2 Kaido together, just those two characters alone are already adding so much to your quick teams. So just adding a lot of characters around that, dude, it's actually nuts how crazy they made these units. Then we've got his special ability, which is on a 25 CT once again. Targets enemies at a large range for 2 times his attack, and then targets strength enemies specifically for 1.5 times his attack. So he does additional damage towards strength enemies. And for the first 40 seconds, if he's launched his special, he does a 30% health cut in a large range. Like, this is so much, and he's definitely going to be able to launch within the first 40 seconds. So damage, even more damage to strength, and then a health cut. His CT's reduced significantly for the first, 20 seconds of the fight. So he's going to be able to launch within the first 40 seconds, no doubt. This unit is crazy. I love this versus AKAINU unit, and I cannot wait to potentially pull him, use him on my teams. I really want to make some videos with this guy because just on paper, this unit literally is like one of the best units in the game, because not only do you get access to versus AKAINU, but in the same unit, you get access to the versus ace mechanics for the shooter and the free spirit characters. And as time goes on, there's going to be a lot of driven and powerhouse characters that are going to be releasing, a lot of free spirit and shooter characters that are going to be releasing, that both of these characters can get access to and can utilize and can just take full advantage of. And that's one of the crazy things. I think this character is probably one of the most valuable characters to be getting access to for the next few months, up until like the 7th anniversary batch releases. But even still, this character is still considered maybe better or on the same level at the very minimum to those characters that release as well. This unit is so valuable, and I feel like you kind of have to try and pull for this unit. Now, at this moment, we don't know how the structure of the Sugo Fest is completely going to be, but I am very, very much excited to potentially get my hands on the Ace versus AKAINU character. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, breaking down all the new characters, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.